These days, we often hear about a couple making a sex video for themselves, and then later on, we find that the so-called boyfriend kind of blackmails the girl into repeated sexual acts with him, and if she refuses, he kind of uploads this particular sex video of his um onto this girl's contact numbers and so on. Now, the first thing what I personally believe is, in the first place, how did this girl agree to do something of this kind? Now, let me tell you something. Sex is something which is very, very personal, and I don't see any reason why you have to make a video while you're having sex. That's just not required. If you want to see yourself in the sexual moves, why don't you install some mirrors in the room and have sex and watch yourself simultaneously? There is absolutely no need on the part of the boyfriend or the girlfriend or the lovers or whoever they may be to kind of make a video recording of the same, because you can be almost sure that if your partner is making a video recording, sooner or later it's going to be used against you. Well, there are lakhs and lakhs of porn films. If you want to watch people in action, why don't you watch them? Why do you have to make your own videos? And then later on, once a particular partner is in trouble, then they go to the police station, make a complaint. But by that time, the damage is already done, because people have seen you naked, people have seen you making love. So I always believe that somewhere along the line, even the partners or that particular partner who's kind of victimizing the other one is to be blamed. How do you, in the first place, agree that such a act which is so pious, which is so pure, which is so divine, how can you let somebody record that act? It's something very, very personal, only for you and your partner to enjoy. It's not for public exhibition, or even not something for later use, because every moment is different, and every time you cherish that moment in a different way. And you have these memories recorded in your minds. You don't need a kind of a camera to record that video and then see it for yourselves later on. I'm sure people who record their own sex videos don't even care to see uh, it at a later point of time themselves, because it's a homemade video. It has no production values, so why do you care to make it in the first place? And also, I would like to emphasize the fact is, even especially for a girl, because it's a girl who gets victimized, right? Nobody kind of watches the man in action. It's always a woman who is like being turned into a piece of flesh, and then people mock at her and things like that. So I would also want to tell to the fair sex that before you get into any kind of sexual activity, get to know the person really well. At least wait for 3 to 4 months before you agree to have sex with that person. It's only when you know the person very, very well. And the most important factor is the kind of trust. You have to trust the person completely before you can take such a step, and never, never agree about getting this whole thing filmed. There is actually no need to do that. I don't know why people do it in the first place and where it originates from, but there is no need. And also, you have to be very, very you have to be cautious about the fact, if you don't trust somebody, never ever get into a relationship in the first place, let alone have sex. Because then, if somebody is hiding a mobile camera somewhere, or some kind of a video recording format, what are you going to do? Because people have already seen you naked, the damage is already done, you've lost your reputation, and then you lose face. So why get into all this trouble in the first place? If your partner respects you, and if they really respect you, then if you say, no, I don't want to be video recorded doing this act, then of course he has to agree with that. And if he respects you, he will not do any kind of video recording without your consent. And as I said earlier, that this kind of sexual act recording has no place in any couple's personal life. And I don't know how, it's only crazy and weird people, they do these kind of things. And later on they get into trouble, which I'm sure nobody wants to get into trouble of this kind. So when I read these kind of articles in the papers, it really disturbs me that why did people get into these kind of things in the first place. There should be negotiation between the man and the woman about what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. And something very, very important is, if you do decide that you are going to do the recording, But then at the same time, immediately after you finish the sexual act and the recording, you can maybe watch it once, twice, and then delete it then and there. But then that doesn't happen. Let me tell you one thing, because the moment it is recorded, even before your knowledge, it may already have been sent to his friends to make fun of the whole thing. I do know some people who have been with their so-called girlfriends, who are not actually girlfriends but they're sex buddies, and they have recorded them without their knowledge, and then those things circulate. Now just imagine, how can you call somebody your girlfriend and abuse them in such a way? That's really, really not fair on anyone. You have no right to video record somebody without their consent, and it's very, very unfair. I'm sure if somebody does that with you, you wouldn't like it. So next time, even if you think of doing something very filthy like this, please do understand that you're dealing with a human being and not a machine. Even they have a certain role to play in society, they have a certain standing in society. People, they work in a certain place, they live in a certain place. uh, People expect them to behave in a certain way. So you can't be circulating their sex videos around and trying to blackmail them. That is just not justified. It's very, very inhuman and very, very indecent of you to do that. So I hope this little video of mine, which is actually meant for both the man and the woman, uh, would actually help them understand the whole dynamics of a sex video, and how to probably avoid getting into trouble.